In this problem, we want to treat this data that we've been given about the heights of presidents and their opponents, and we're looking to construct a 95% confidence interval estimate of the population percentage. So what we are going to do with this list, we're not using the heights as the data. We're looking to see who is taller. So is the president taller or is it the opponent? So since we're looking for the percentage or proportion of presidents who were taller than their opponents, I'm going to check off every time the president was taller than their particular opponent. So I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. And let's see. So Ronald Reagan was taller than his opponent, so we check him off. James Buchanan was taller. John Hayes was shorter, so that's a no. Johnson was taller. I don't know if that was Andrew or LBJ, but doesn't really matter. Truman was a little taller. John Kennedy was, he made it by just an inch. Polk was shorter. Okay, skip him. George Herbert Walker Bush was taller. Grover Cleveland, that is a tie, so I'm not going to check him. Garfield was shorter. Franklin Roosevelt was taller. Okay. Bill Clinton, again a tie, so don't check him. John Quincy Adams was 20 inches shorter? Or centimeters. I don't know, whatever it is. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense in inches. Okay. Wilson is shorter. Harding is taller. Eisenhower, a little bit taller. Pierce, shorter. McKinley, shorter. Teddy, taller. And Jackson, taller. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that is 11 out of 20. That is our sample proportion. So now we're ready to calculate the confidence interval. And to do that, because it's about a proportion, I'm going to use one prop, Z interval, and that is choice A in your list of tests. So you're going to click on Stat and then go to the Tests menu. You're going to choose A, which is one prop Z interval, and your number of successes is X, so that's 11. N is your number of trials, so that's 20. So this should always form that fraction that we just came up with. Oh, come on. There we go. All right, so that's 11. That's 20. And then we have confidence level, and that's going to be 95%. Is that right? Yes. So you're just going to put 95 in there, or 0.95. Okay. And then you'll press enter, and you'll get your confidence interval for that particular question. Okay, so I'm getting, my lower boundary is 0.3320, and my upper boundary is 0.7680. And you notice that that's a really wide interval, but it's a really small sample size. When we're working with proportions, we really don't want to have such a small sample. What makes this tricky is that this is the one time where you'll see a question where you actually have to find how many successes there are. Usually they just tell you because it would, maybe there's 500 trials and there's 300 successes, and it's not reasonable to count that number. So that's why this one is particularly tricky to do. So that's how you do that problem.